Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on the third episode of Breaking Bad and the bags in the river. And specifically, we're looking at exactly why Walter White had to face such a brutal, unavoidable aftermath after stepping into the drug trade. The episode's title is actually this brilliant nod to a classic film quote about handling a messy situation. But as we're going to see right off the bat, Walt's situation is literally the opposite of handled. He's suddenly facing the direct consequences of his actions on absolutely every front: physical, psychological, domestic, the whole shebang.
To really grasp what Walt is up against here, we're going to break this aftermath down into 5 key dimensions: cleaning up the mess, weighing pros and cons, the missing plate shard, the DEA closing in, and finally, nothing but chemistry here.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Cleaning Up the Mess, the Physical and Psychological Reality.
Now, what's absolutely fascinating about this first layer of the aftermath is how the show contrasts Walt's clinical academic past with his gruesome new reality. We get this flashback to his grad school days, right? A much younger, way more innocent Walt is standing there with his lab partner Gretchen, and they're academically breaking down the human body into these clean, precise percentages: 63% hydrogen, 26% oxygen, 9% carbon, and 1.25% nitrogen. He's looking at this perfectly balanced equation and wondering, is there more to a human being than just these scientific components?
But man, snap back to the present day, and that elegantly simple chemistry starkly contrasts with visceral reality. Walt isn't standing in some sterile lab anymore. Instead, he's using alkaline baking soda to neutralize hydrofluoric acid so he can scrub up the dissolved bloody remains of Emilio. He's literally scooping a human being into a bucket and flushing him down a toilet. The theoretical chemistry has become a horrific practical chore. This is, without a doubt, the absolute physical low point of his brand new career.
And here's the thing, the mess isn't just physical, it is deeply psychological. Walt heads down to the basement and realizes that the surviving captive, Crazy 8, knows deeply personal details about his life. Why? Because Jesse talks way too much. So now Crazy 8 knows Walt's name, he knows about his family, his personal background. The wall between Walt's criminal actions and his private life, it's completely breached. And you just can't put that genie back in the bottle.
Which brings us to Section 2, Weighing Pros and Cons, a literal moral crisis.
Let's look at how this builds into an overwhelming moral dilemma for Walt. He is so desperate that he actually writes out a physical list on a yellow notepad, practically begging the universe for a reason not to kill Crazy 8. He lists several pros for clemency, like, the fact that murder is fundamentally wrong. But then there's that one massive, undeniable con staring him in the face, outweighing absolutely everything else. He'll kill your entire family if you let him go. Talk about an impossible situation, right? The sheer stress of this dilemma is just off the charts. You compound that with his secret lung cancer and the physical toll of this crazy new life, and Walt physically collapses in the basement while bringing Crazy 8 some food. He hits the concrete floor, completely shattering a yellow plate. At first glance, it just seems like this clumsy moment of weakness, but this is actually the exact moment that sets our climax into motion.
Moving right along to Section 3, the missing plate shard, the point of no return.
So how does a single, seemingly minor accident force Walt's hand here? Let's retrace how this all goes wrong. Step 1, Walt collapses and breaks the plate. Step 2, he wakes up, cleans up the shards, and actually shares this surprisingly touching bonding moment with Crazy 8 over, of all things, a Tampico furniture commercial. He finally decides, okay, I'm going to let him go. But then, Step 3. He's upstairs getting the bike lock key, and he has this sudden, terrifying flash of insight. Step 4, Walt pulls the shattered plate out of the trash, pieces it back together like a giant puzzle, and realizes a large triangular shard is missing. Crazy 8 secretly swiped it while Walt was passed out. Walt goes back down to the basement, and he is just devastated. He knows exactly what Crazy 8 is hiding. And when Crazy 8 makes that quiet, absolutely chilling demand, "Unlock me, Walter," it forces Walt to confront the harsh reality that his captive has been manipulating his empathy this entire time. Doing the right thing here will literally cost Walt his life.
Walt asks if Crazy 8 is going to stab him, and boom, the facade drops. In this desperate, incredibly intense struggle for survival, Walt tearfully pulls back on the bike lock, strangling Crazy 8, while taking a brutal stab wound to the leg from that exact same plate shard. This cements his crossing of the moral point of no return. I mean, he genuinely wanted to be a good man, but the criminal underworld just wouldn't let him.
Let's shift gears to Section 4. The DEA closes in, the external threat.
While Walt is dealing with this intense internal aftermath in Jesse's basement, the external consequences of his cooking are rapidly closing in on him. It's basically a ticking clock of suspense. Hank and the DEA are rapidly piecing together the remnants of Walt and Jesse's desert cook. In Hour 1, they find the cook site and that gas mask Walt carelessly left behind. By Hour 2, Hank and Gomez locate Crazy 8's abandoned lowrider out in the desert. And by Hour 3, Hank finds a hidden bag of Walt's remarkably pure crystal meth stashed right behind the car's stereo. So now, the DEA knows that Crazy 8, who, by the way, was secretly their snitch all along, is likely dead. Plus, they know a massive new player is operating right there in Albuquerque.
And it doesn't stop there. The external threat is bleeding into his domestic life too. Paranoia about drugs is already infecting Walt's home. Because of Walt's earlier lies, Skylar is writing a short story about a stoner and casually asks for Sister Marie about marijuana, while Marie instantly assumes Walter Jr. is the one smoking it. This leads to Hank mistakenly taking Walter Jr. to a super seedy motel called the Crystal Palace to scare him straight. He even points out a prostitute named Wendy to show the kid how meth corroded her teeth. It is just a stunning bit of irony. The entire family is hunting for this phantom drug problem, completely blind to the fact that the actual meth kingpin is the quiet father sitting at the head of their dinner table.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Nothing But Chemistry Here, The Erosion of the Soul.
This really brings home the ultimate cost of this aftermath on Walt's humanity. Do you remember that flashback we started with? The one where Walt calculates the chemical makeup of the human body? Well, he realized that all those elements only added up to 99% of a person. And that young, idealistic Walt wondered what that missing 1% was, kind of romantically pondering if maybe, just maybe, it was the human soul.
But flash forward to the present, and Walt's haunting conclusion to Gretchen perfectly summarizes his dark transformation. After having just taken a human life with his own hands, he states, "The soul, there's nothing but chemistry here." He has completely stripped away any romantic notions of the human spirit. In order to survive the reality of what he just had to do to Crazy 8, Walt has to reduce life and death to nothing more than a mechanical, chemical reaction.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought and question to chew on. Did the aftermath of taking Crazy 8's life merely prove a chemical reaction? Or did we just witness the exact moment Walter White lost his soul? When Walt returns home at the end of the episode to find Skylar sobbing on their bed, is he even the same man anymore? Or has his entry into the drug trade permanently eradicated whatever was left in that missing 1%? Think about that as you process this brilliant hour of television. Thanks so much for diving into this explainer with me, and I'll catch you on the next one.